Orton's a pretty good character. I mean, all four characters you're showing at E3. ADR Alberto, he's excellent. Miz, of course.
Yeah. I think, the four guys that we're showing, they all look pretty good. They feel good. I think Orton in particular. I mean, I guess he's got to. He's a cover boy this year. We've done a good job, not only with his model, but I think his moveset. Like he just feels like Orton, which leads to another thing that we've added this year. Those wake-up taunts, which is just a working title. We got to come up with a better name for them. But they're essentially special taunts you can perform in the game that will force your opponent to rise into like a groggy state. So you can, do your finisher or a springboard top rope, kind of whatever you want to do. But he'll basically feed up for you, which, you see all the time on programming, or he'll drop to the mat, start banging, his fists on the mat. We've got that in the game this year. And it just makes it. I mean, I get chills every time I see Orton drop to the mat and go to work. But we got a whole bunch of those taunts that you can give, and every superstar's can perform these special taunts. We've got generic ones, and then we've got ones that were created specifically for guys. But just like anything else in the game, if you want, you can give, Orton a diva taunt if you want. Yeah. Although he wouldn't appreciate that.
Probably not. Yeah. I'm a big Miz fan. I thought his Miz's wake-up taunt was really good.
Yeah. It looks pretty good. They got to do some work on it a little bit. Some things are off about it. But, yeah, it's good. I mean,
or he does,
yeah. That came out looking really good. So I really like the wake-up taunts. And I guess, lead into that, talking about more, gameplay changes. We've brought back the ability to store finishers. I've read on message boards, and, me and you have talked, just in private about this. And it seemed to be that something that, a lot of the hardcore guys have wanted back. So, we're bringing that back this year. You can store up to 3 finishers. But as of right now, it's, and again, things can change, but right now it's kind of set up where the number of finishers you can hold is dependent on that superstar's charisma attribute. The higher the attribute, the more finishers they can store, with the max being 3. So I think that, it's just kind of bringing the game. It's like we're doing something brand new with the game this year, but at the same time, kind of going back to the roots of what made the SmackDown series fun to begin with. So now players will be able to, if you want, one RKO after another RKO, followed by a punt to the skull. If you're John Cena, you can, attitude adjustment followed by the STF. We're just letting players, do it whenever they want. Once you have that icon, like you can hit it, whenever you like. There's no window that you have to do it, So I think it just makes the gameplay, it breaks it open a lot more, and you can kind of play as you want to play, as opposed to how we're kind of forcing you to play.
Has the speed of getting your finisher been adjusted? Because I know in previous SmackDown games, specifically the early in the series, it was a race to the finisher, and once you hit the finisher, it was over.
Yeah. We're still in the midst of tuning everything for this year's game at WWE'12, but we're all kind of, and by all I mean, the guys on the design team are really focused on, on having it so that, we don't want it to be too long, building up that meter, but at the same time, we don't want it to be like you start the match and within a minute and a half, you've got your meter filled up and you're able to do your signature and your finisher. So it's just, finding that nice middle ground. And I think where the game is right now is definitely a really good starting point. I mean, I'm not sure how you feel. You've been playing it. What do you think?
I think
Tell me right now. You got me.
For some characters, it is very easy to get a finisher. Okay. Now, it's also easy to reverse the finishers too a little bit. So I mean, there is some there. I think it's usually, for the most part, it is a little bit easier to get the finisher, I think.
Okay, this is great feedback to hear, man. That's why you're here. That's why this guy is here. So I can take this information and
fix it
and make this game. No, I'm not even gonna say try to be the best that it can be. I mean, I don't want to blow too much smoke up anybody's ass. I think sometimes I might get a little overzealous, and then people, kind of big it up to this, and then by the time they get it, it's like, oh,
okay, yeah.
I do that sometimes. I just get excited. I mean, I'm happy about the games, and I want you guys to be too. I just want to, kind of temper expectations. It's gonna be a good game, but just, try not to think that we're giving you 3 years worth of content in the 11
10 months. Yeah, 10 months or 11 months. Yeah. Talk about some of the new. Is there any new match types this year?
Can't talk about that right now.
Okay.
We're just really talking. I mean, you know the drill. We're just now starting to even talk about the game. So we gotta piece out all the information. Okay. But I'll just say, we will have some surprises. A lot of cool things that we'll be unveiling as we get further along into our push and our release date.
Okay. Can you talk about any of the creation modes?
I can. We've got, like I said, I mentioned earlier, we've got some new ones that will be debuting. Can't say what those are, but all the creation modes that we've had in the past, of course, back Creator Superstar. I know a lot of people were kind of upset. I'm not sure if people on your message boards, but I've read some places about the transparency issue and not being able to have that. That's back. I confirmed that it was yesterday. I booted up a build and just to make sure, 'cause I knew you guys were coming.
Yeah.
So anybody who was upset about the lack of transparency on tattoos or whatnot, fear not. That stuff's back in the game. New parts, of course, for Creator Superstar. Credit entrance, all that stuff that you would expect is back. Leading back to the whole bigger aspect of our game.
How about Superstar Thread? Have there been any improvements to that?
There have been some improvements to Superstar Threads. Can't really talk too much about it without spoiling roster stuff, but yeah, there's been some cool things. But again, I'm not gonna say it's fundamentally radically different.
More options, maybe?
There will be a couple more options.
Okay.
Like I said, for our create modes, we're definitely saving the best for those new modes that we're debuting. And by best, I mean you'll see the most amount of, obviously new content because they're new. But that was our emphasis this year,
Tell us about how the new engines, how that's changed the game so much.
Yeah, well, new engine, new technology is how I like. It's how I like to describe it because people hear new engine, they think and they expect something completely radically different, and we're bringing it different. But I mean, you had mentioned it yesterday when we were all talking about how on the surface, of course, the game looks better, but it doesn't look radically different. But once you play it and once you see it in action, I think that's the true test, and that's how you can get a sense of like, wow, this is a lot more fluid, a lot more responsive. And our new tech that's powering the game this year is definitely helping that. The biggest change is that I think players will notice when they're actually playing it has to do with the animation blending. Things just kind of the action just blends a lot smoother together, and we've made a concentrated effort to eliminate, not mitigate, but eliminate a lot of the warping and character popping that occurs in the ring.
So, like for example, John Cena's at five knuckle
shuffle. Yeah, how before you could be in the corner, trigger it, and your moves, both you and the defender, are warped into the middle of the ring. Like this year, we drew a line in the sand, and we said no more of this. So I think when you play the game, I think it's one of those things, like a subtle change when you're playing it, but you do pick up on the fact that like, wow, like this just looks so much more fluid and realistic, and that has a lot to do with it. So like I said, I mean, the game looks beautiful. We got new cameras, new presentation to go along with it. But the true test is just getting that control in your hand and just playing it for yourself. I mean, that's what I think personally.
So, why the change from the right analog stick to the face buttons?
Again, going back to our old kind of taking it back to its essence. We want to make the game more accessible, but at the same time not dumb it down or take away any functionalities that we've given in the past. We just looked at it collectively and we thought, it's like, yes, we've had the analog stick for the grappling for the past however many years, and it's worked. But at the same time, it's not the most intuitive control scheme and I know probably the hardcore guys don't want to hear this for the newbies, but the thing is, we feel our games are fun, and we want the most amount of people to be able to, try out our games, whether they're, WWE fans, wrestling fans who have never played our game, or maybe have played in the past and have thought that, for whatever reason, it just got too kind of complicated. We wanted to just say, no, if you like wrestling, if you are a WWE fan, a ROH fan, a fan of sports entertainment, of wrestling, please come. Give us a try. All of our main controls and actions are on the face buttons this year. I think it's just natural. Anybody who picks up a game for the first time, the first thing they do is start pressing those face buttons. I mean, I do it with any new game that I play. So I think that just makes the game that much more easier to just pick up and play and know that my grapples are on the A, my strikes are on the X, my Irish whips on the B. And then not to say we don't use the right stick anymore, we still do. It's just not for grappling. You've been playing the game. Right now, the right stick's used for repositioning your opponent. Like if you're chain hold, you can flick it to go to another position. Use to pick guys up, turn them around. So left stick for navigation, right stick for opponent repositioning.
Could that change before the final game, or is that pretty much set?
I think it's pretty much set, but I mean, you know, we've been focus testing it, and you know, I mean, we'll see. But I think for right now, like a lot of people seem to be enjoying it, the change. So I think it's probably going to stick around.